34. TVM solver. What does TVM stand for? Time value money calculator. Just so you know, TVM solver is not exclusive to your calculator. You can find them online. There's TVM solvers out there. But the one that we have is unique to this course, right? Watch this. What does the TVM solver do? It essentially replaces the need to use the compound interest formula. Okay? You must use it. Okay, I will add this. I don't have it anywhere in here. Must use TVM if regular deposits are made. Okay, if there's any hint that you're making regular contributions, you cannot use the compound interest formula. It's not going to work. Okay. So where do you find TVM solver? You would press the app button, apps, and then you go to finance and you see TVM solver there. So let's go find it once real quick. So press apps. Apps is right here where my finger is. Apps is right there, next to math. And then finance is your first option. And if you want to calculate things, you want to use TVM solver. Hit enter, and you see a bunch of entries there. And some of you, I would say everybody should have an explanation as to what these slots represent. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page here. Go all the way to the bottom, and let's all have our set to end. It's asking, when is the payment happening? Is it at the end of the month or beginning of the month? The province tells us that it doesn't matter which one you pick, you're not gonna lose any marks. My answer key, every key I've made is always with end. The setting is on end, so let's all just stick with that, and then you're not going to be off. You might be off by a few dollars or a few cents if it's at the beginning, okay? So what are these entries here? I have a screenshot of what you're looking at. N is the total number of compounding periods. Total number of compounding periods, or, watch this, deposits payments. And this is where I use a different highlighter. This is what you need to make sure you do every time. You take your time in years and you multiply it by whatever is in PY. Make sure you have that, give this a different color. Where is PY? You see it on your, look at where my finger is. PY is right there. See that? So whatever you put in N, right? You're going to take your years and you're going to multiply it by whatever we deem PY to be. That's very dependent on the question. So right now it's a little bit too much, but you'll be all right. Interest rate, that one is very straightforward. It's just the interest rate, and you enter it as a percentage. So if it's 4%, you enter 4. You don't go 0.04. Okay? Present value, okay? Present value is the investment / loan. It could be an investment or a loan, it depends. And here's the anomaly, right? If there is no initial deposit, we set it to 0. We set it to 0. Payment, obviously, is the value of the regular deposit. Okay? The value of the regular deposit or payment. And if there's no payment at all, or no deposits, we just set it to 0. Future value. Right? This is the value at the end of the investment or loan. What do you want the future value to be if you borrow money? When you're done, you want it to be 0, right? So if you ever have a loan, for loans, we set the future value to 0. Okay? And here's PY. In hindsight, I should have probably given PY a different color and then matched it there, but you will see it. So PY is the payments per year. And here's the anomaly. I would say take the time today to actually copy this down. No deposits or payments. If there are no deposits or payments made, then we set PY equal to CY. You can make this a lot shorter, obviously. And CY stands for compounding periods per year. And here's where you need to make sure you don't mix up the compound interest formula with the TVM solver. Okay, guys? Because some of us think, you know, N, right? What is that? CY is what used to be N for us on the compound interest formula. So don't mix that up. And we always set it to N. To solve for anything, I'm going to do this in green. You go to anything that you want to solve for, and you go alpha enter. Right? To solve, go with the blinker to the unknown, and then go alpha enter, and you get it. You get the answer. So please, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to give this whole thing a nice highlighter here. Okay? Obviously, I would not put any numbers into this. I just couldn't get rid of. Just make sure you have the NI, PV, PMT, and what that means. Okay? Next, you need to understand this is really important. PV, so present value, payment, and future value will need to have a plus or minus sign. Okay? This sign, highlight this part, is centered around you. Okay? It has to do with you. For this course, the way I teach it, it is around you. So this is you right here. Highlight yourself. You're the highlight of this story here. So if you're making deposits, you're purchasing something, you're making payments, that money is leaving you, right? So if it goes this way, you're going to have a negative sign. If it leaves you, if it goes to the bank, we're going to have a negative sign in front of that value. So if it's a regular payment that you're making or deposits, we're going to put a negative in front of it. However, if you are getting the money from the bank, you're making withdrawals, or you're receiving a loan to buy that nice car you always wanted, we put a plus there because it's coming to you. And it's very important that you get that concept right. Can I add just mortgages? Mortgages are also loans, but they're towards real estate, right? Buying a house. I should have asked if any of your family members or parents are financial advisors. Anybody here? Accountants? Accountant? Money being deposited, choose a negative sign because the money is leaving you. Money being withdrawn, choose a positive sign because money is coming to you. So whether you want this diagram here or these two, I'm just going to say because that's money being deposited, negative sign. If you withdraw money, positive sign. Okay, so that's basically how it goes. All right, let's actually do some calculating. There's a bit more in terms of apps that we can also use to figure out other stuff, but we're going to do one thing at a time here. So flip over. And let's go to 36 first, okay? $36. So 35 is brand new. I just inserted that for this class. but I'm going to leave it for now because it might be a little overwhelming at first. So we're just going to figure out how to work the TVM solver as is. So we're going to do a TVM example without regular payments or deposits. Okay. So let's see what we can fill in. Sometimes you want to fill in right away what you know, and then other times you're like, maybe they're asking for this. I'm not sure here, right? So you invest $3,000 at a 5-year GIC with an interest rate of 4.17. This one is easy. Let's do that one right away. 4.17 goes where I is. Compounded quarterly, what is this? This is what I call the CY, the compounding periods. If it's quarterly, it's 4. So let's go to CY and put a 4 down there. Future value, are there any payments being made here? Any talk of regular deposits? At least not, or go side to side. Right, there are no payments, right? So we make that 0. No payments, deposits, right? So PMT is equal to 0 here because they're just not mentioning it. And if you keep reading, it says calculate the value of the investment at maturity. They want the future value. That's what we want. So let's put a dot right next to it. That's the one we're going to solve for. Present value, therefore, is the $3,000. You invest $3,000. So 3,000. What sign will it get? If you're investing it and it's you, right? What's the money doing right now if it's leaving you, right? So we're going to have to put a negative in front of it. Money leaving you, right? So therefore negative sign. Future value is what we want to figure out. Can we do n at this point? N is saying, if you think about it, n is 5 years. It's the time in years multiplied by whatever py is. Okay. Do we know what py is at this point? We don't. But if there are no payments, cy is the same thing as py. They are the same. So we're just going to put 4. No payments, right? No deposits. So we set py is equal to 0. Sorry, cy is equal to py. Let's redo this. Undo, undo. Here. Cy is equal to py. So now we have everything filled in except for the future value. Want to know what that is in the future. Grab your TVM solver or your calculator. If you want to quit this, you got to go second mode to quit to go to the home screen. Okay, so let's try this again. Apps, Finance, TVM Solver. We now know what PY is correct. So we're going to go 5 times 4. And I will give that a highlighter here. PY is 4. That's why we plugged it in there. So you can actually go and just go 5 times 4 under N. And it will turn it into 20. Then it's 4.17. You got to go negative 3,000. Don't go minus. Payment, there are no payments. Future value, just turn it into a 0 for now. Keep going. We'll come back to that one. PY is 4. CY is 4. Okay. Just 1 second. Look up here. Look, if I had put 12 into PY, look what happens immediately. It turns CY into 12 as well. So you have to be aware of that, because sometimes they are not the same, then we need to change them, okay? Now, if you have all of this done, go to future value, and we press alpha and enter. Alpha enter will solve for whatever is missing, whatever is that you're wanting to find. And you just go in here and go 3,691.50. And you circle it. You make sure that the province knows that that's what you solved for. Okay? So you can say the investment is worth 3,691.50 cents after 5 years. Okay. So it's a bit of a learning curve to figure out how to work this. Okay, next. How much interest did you earn? Can you use two methods? Okay. Interest is going to be future value minus present value minus any deposits that you've made, any payments that were made. And I'll give you this formula again later on. My future value is 3,691.50 cents. Our present value was $3,000. Did you make any deposits, any payments? No. So you just put 0 there. So it's essentially just future value minus present value, which is $691.50. And here's the one I'm mostly excited about, because I would like you to use this if at all possible. It saves you a lot of time. We're going to use this function, right? Use sum of interest. What is that? And you need to put in 1 always, followed by whatever is in n. And it will give us the interest that you've earned. So really what you need to show is this. How much interest did I earn from the very first quarter till the very last quarter? How many quarters went by, folks? It was whatever n is. N is equal to 20. Let's make this 20. So you put the 20 in here, and let's figure out what that number is. Grab your calculator, and you have to make sure you get this right. You have to exit this screen before you want to use this. So go second mode to quit it, to go to the home screen. And then we press apps, go into finance. And this is weird why they don't have it further up. You're going to scroll all the way down until you see sum of interest. Hit enter. It's in your home screen now. That's what you want. And then you press 1, comma, in this case 20. Hit enter. And voila. Without using any formulas, you came up with the same answer. This is my preferred method moving forward. It's going to be faster. Watch this. You'd like to know how much interest will be earned after 3 years into the investment. Determine this. Okay? I will make a note here. Since we are finding the interest before the end, we must use sum of interest. You have to. You have no option in this case anyways. You have to use sum of interest. This is 1 until if 3 years go by. Right? How many quarterly periods are there? 3 times 4, right? You multiply the years by quarterly compounding. PY. You have to go base it off of PY. So that's really sum of interest from the very first until the 12th compounding period. You cannot just put in 3, that's not going to be accurate. So let's do this again. You can just copy paste, go up, highlight it, paste it, and replace the 20 with 12. So after 3 years, $397.58 will have been accumulated in interest over the 3 years. What about 4 years? Sum of interest. 1 until, what number will go here? 16, right? So I'm going to go 4 years times whatever PY is. PY is 4. And I normally just go 116, but you're still learning how to use this thing. So after 4 years, you copy paste again and just change the 12 to 16. So you see how this goes? You can zoom in into any time of this investment and figure out exactly. And these are small numbers. Of course, you're not too excited about a couple $100. But if you have a big amount, you're thinking tens of thousands of dollars of interest, right? Anytime you zoom in. So that's kind of cool. I want you to try answering F right now with what you've learned. Same scenario. Make sure you try it, all right? Your phone is not an option right now. Yes. Your phone is not an option. There's no TVM solver on there just yet. What if you got a 3% interest rate instead? How much interest would you have lost if you went with a 3% interest rate instead of a 4.17% interest? So you copy paste most of the values. One of the key things is to always show us, if you're using the TVM solver, you have to show this every single time, this whole thing, if you want to earn marks. That's part of your work shown, okay? For this to work, we're just going to change the interest to 3. And you have to solve this whole thing again. You can't just leave everything else blank because it's a totally different scenario. So you got to go to your future value again and go alpha, enter, right? You're solving it again. Obviously, you're going to have less money, right? I think everybody understands that. You put a dot next to future value. If you're using this sum of interest, okay? Pay close attention to this part. Obviously, we're going to go from the first to the last, which is the 20th. If you want the entire amount, here it's always whatever is an N is going to go at the end here. Okay? You got to exit this. If you don't exit this, it's going to paste the sum of interest into one of your entries here. So you don't want that. You got to quit that. And I already used interest before, so I'm just going to figure out what that is. That's $483.55 that you've earned under these circumstances. How much did you lose in interest, folks? you would have made 691 with the first interest rate. Now you only earned 483. So the loss, you didn't answer the question yet until you perform this step right here. 483.55. And you subtract that, you've lost 207.95. So a percent difference is like $200 loss, right? So, and the bigger the amount, the more significant the loss will be. If you're doing mortgages, which is like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, 1/4% can signify thousands of dollars in a couple of years. Okay. All right. Let's do one with payments. This one is very rare, folks. Like that, there are no payments. Usually, there's going to be some sort of deposit made. Let's go to 37. And I think you're bright cookies, you're bright students. Okay. So I'm gonna see if you could figure out. Don't solve necessarily, because the biggest battle is figuring out what to put in here. So you always go N, I, PV, PMT. You don't have to memorize this. It's on your TVM solver. And you don't need to have end or beginning. You do not need to have that entry. You can actually talk to your neighbor on this one. What would you fill in? And until you filled it in, you're going to try to see, like, read this question. What are some of the things that I can fill in here on page 37? I just need you to once think about it before I just give you the numbers, because you're just going to copy them down and not necessarily see how I got them right away. Okay? So give this a chance. Give this a try. Okay, because of time, I need to start. I hope you all know what a TFSA is. It's a tax-free savings account. I'll talk more about that as well. But you deposit $10,000. This is not a regular monthly deposit. It's just a one-time sum. This is most definitely your present value. Okay, so you're depositing it, so it'd be negative 10,000. It's leaving you negative 10,000. Interest rate is 2.58%. You got that? That's I. This is PV, right? Compounded monthly. That's CY right there. What's CY going to be if it's monthly? 12. So let's go over to CY and make that 12. He wonders how long in years it will take for him to save up $15,000. 15,000 to have. Where would that go into? Future value, correct? Positive or negative? At that time, when you have 15,000, it's going to come to you to go buy the car, so it'll be positive. What did I do here? Did I not give you payments? Feel like there's something missing. This one doesn't have regular deposits, so I feel like I lied to you here. Can we just get rid of this? My bad. There are no regular deposits here. So payment is 0. No deposits, right? No regular deposits, that is. If there are no deposits, what's PY? Same as CY, okay? They locked in together. So what's the only thing that we can solve for? N. That's where time is inside. N is in where time is found. Okay, so let's solve for that. Apps, finance, TVM solver. I'm going to set that to 0 for now and change everything else accordingly. 12 and 12. Let's go to N and let's solve that. Alpha, enter, write that down. Do not round. At least 4 decimal places. Okay, now I need to talk about it. Do you think it's 188 years or months, or what is this? It is months, because it has to do with CY. So this is where you need a formula, okay? Time and years is going to be found. This is under the concept of TVM. You take N and you divide it by, what do you think you're going to have to divide it by? PY. Okay? It's always divided by PY, payments per year. So to figure out the time, you're going to need to solve for N. So time is going to be 188.7911 divided by 12. If PY had been weekly, 52, then you would have divided this by 52, correct? So it has very much to do with whatever PY is. So if you divide that, you get 15.73 years. That's a long time to get your Subaru, in my opinion, but maybe it is worthwhile. And we're running a little out of time, but we'll try this one here. This is where the deposits come in. After doing the calculations in A, Leonard realizes that it will take too long, right? 15 years is just too long. Since he gets paid bi-weekly, he sets up automatic deposits. Highlight that part. There are automatic deposits every 2 weeks. How long in years will it take to save up $15,000 under this new addition here? So you fill in this again. Okay. Everything else stays the same, like the interest rate is 2.58. The present value is still negative 10,000. Payment is what? Negative 50. Like it's leaving you, so it's going to be negative as well. In the future, you would like to have $15,000. Here's where it changes. What are my payments per year in this case, or deposits per year? It is every 2 weeks. What is that going to be? PY is going to be 26. Okay? Because there are deposits, you now have a PY, and in this case it's 26. What's the compounding? It hasn't changed from before. It's 12. Okay, so that's where you have to be careful and read carefully. Put a dot next to N. That's where time is found. Let's see how much sooner we'll get the money in this case. All I have to do is I have to change PY to 26. Watch what happens as soon as you press enter. It changes CY to 26. Don't let that happen. You want to change it back to 12. Payments are negative 50. And you go to N, right? Alpha, enter, and there it is. It's 80 now. 80.2144. So my time is going to be 80.2144 divided by what's PY? 26, and that's going to get you to 3.09 years. That's much better, okay? So now, with the extra $50 every 2 weeks, you went from 15 years down to 3 years, and now you can buy your car in 3 years, okay? This is what I'm going to ask you to try. I'm going to say 40 to 41. And study sheet. Study sheet, and specifically TVM solver. Okay? Guys, you get a study sheet. Right, you get it, you have it, make use of it. Add anything that you learned today that was new to you, including the sum of interest. I will explain that sum of interest a little bit more tomorrow.